Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Albert, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today in our UC Berkeley virtual panel. We'll be answering your questions today. Before we start officially, I'd just like to take a couple quick moments to thank you all for joining us, especially in these very trying times today. I just want to let you all know that we at the UC Berkeley community, we stand with you, and that I would encourage everyone watching today to go on to news.berkeley.edu to go and read our chancellor's message about standing together and how we can all work to support each other in these very difficult times. So with that, thank you again for joining us, and let's get started. So the format of the virtual panel today is that it'll be 1 hour long. It is a Q&A. So make sure that you use the Q&A function in Zoom at the bottom of your screen to ask any questions you might have for our panelists today. The chat is disabled, so that is the way you should communicate with us any questions you might have about UC Berkeley. And if you need any more info, then feel free to go ahead and check out visit.berkeley.edu or tour@berkeley.edu. Send an email to that email address, and we'll have a student ambassador get back to you if you're an answer to your question. So with that, let me just talk a little bit about myself first. My name is Albert, as I said. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I am from right across the bay in San Francisco, California, and I'm going to be a sophomore in the fall. And my majors are computer science and cognitive science, and I also involved on campus by helping visitor and parent services with some of their more back-end administrative work. Now moving on to our first panelist.
Hi everybody, welcome to UC Berkeley. My name is Seneca and I use the she, her, hers pronoun series. I am a rising junior from Goleta, California, which is on the central coast of California, and I'm studying molecular and cell biology with a minor in bioengineering, so pretty fun stuff. I'm also involved in Greek life, bioprinting at Berkeley, which is a bioengineering organization. I'm involved in the dance community here at Cal with a group called DanceWorks, which does hip hop and tap and all sorts of fun stuff. I'm also involved in Daraja, which is a club that is partnered with a high school in Kenya, and we edit each other's blog posts and different journalism things, super fun. And then finally, I am involved in undergraduate research and the Cal Greeks Alcohol Task Force, which aims to promote safe party and alcohol consumption practices in the Greek community.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Joseph. I use the pronouns he, him, his. I'm originally from Indio, California, which is all the way down in SoCal, about 2 hours east of LA in the desert. I'm a rising junior here at Cal with a major in theater and performance studies. And besides being an ambassador, my involvements include the UC Rally Committee, which is an official spirit group on campus. I was previously on the DCAL board. DCAL stands for Democratic Education at Cal, and they are student-run courses in different subjects, such as there was a Drake decal, a baking decal, and essentially I was on the board that helped oversee and helped our student teachers. I'm involved with new student services as an orientation mentor, and we help train our orientation leaders, for fall GBO orientation. And I am in Delta Kappa Alpha, which is a professional fraternity here on campus with an emphasis in film.
Hey, nice to meet you all. I'm Vince, with the pronouns he, him, his. My hometown is actually in Hawaii, so it's about a 5-hour flight from California. I'm a current rising junior. I've been here for the 2 years. My major is molecular cellular biology, so I'm definitely on the pre-med track. If you have any questions, definitely ask it in Q&A, and I'd be happy to answer it. My involvement is currently with the Omniscient Tutor, so I'm the president of the Omniscient Tutor, as well as See the Lord. So the Omniscient Tutor is a nonprofit online organization that's centered around online education. So if you're interested about teaching or anything, definitely check out our table at Calapalooza, or so-called the virtual visit hosted by Luke Chat. Yeah, and then I'm also a lifeguard at our pools. There's many pools on campus, and then I'm also part of Army ROTC. So that's like a separate program where you kind of join in order to become an Army officer once you graduate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Beatrice, and I'm so excited to be talking about UC Berkeley with you today. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm from Oakland, California, so right next to Berkeley. I'm a rising sophomore, and I'm still undecided as to my major. I'm currently planning to double major in political economy and human geography, so on that social sciences track. Apart from being a campus ambassador, I write for the Daily Californian, and in a couple weeks, I'll be taking over as one of the editors of our blog section. And then I'm also in dance works like Seneca, so definitely missing dancing together right now, but looking forward to when we'll be able to do that in person again.
All right, so on your screen, there should be a poll that just popped up. So this is more so we can just find out about who exactly is watching us today. And yeah, we just learn a little more about who's watching. So it looks like a lot of you are rising high school seniors. So congratulations. It looks like a lot of you will be starting the college application process very soon if you haven't already. So best of luck to all of you. So let's move on to our first question for today. So our first question is, if I apply to Berkeley as a freshman to a certain major, can I change that major through my coursework before school starts if the major you want to switch to is in the same college as you apply to? So essentially, can you switch to a different school? Beatrice, do you want to get that one?
Yeah, definitely. So when incoming freshmen are coming to Berkeley, the summer before they start, they'll participate in what I believe is called Golden Bear Advising. So essentially, you're all paired with an advisor, and that advisor kind of works with you. You do some online assignments to just kind of get a feel for how to use our course catalog, how to look for classes, and then also just looking up prerequisites for different majors. And so that's kind of how freshmen choose their first semester schedule. And in terms of choosing a major, so 75% of our undergraduates are actually in our College of Letters and Sciences. So this is definitely our broadest college with more than 80 majors. And everyone who enters that college actually enters undeclared, and they have until the end of their second year to declare a major. So if you're in this college, it's definitely very easy to switch around your coursework. It doesn't really matter until you're officially declared, and you can't do that until you've started at Berkeley anyways. In some of our other colleges, it might be a little bit more difficult to switch around. I know that if you're in the College of Chemistry or Engineering, there's a lot more requirements, but if you are admitted into one of those colleges, it should be pretty easy to switch around your coursework within that college. And then in terms of transferring between colleges, if you realize the major you really want is in a different college, you're going to have to work with the major advisors in order to transfer. So I would definitely just do your reading on the prerequisites of different majors and what's involved in transferring between colleges, and then also reach out to those advisors because they're super helpful and always happy to talk to students who are trying to change their path or just kind of figure out what path they want to be on.
All right, yeah, I would highly recommend speaking to your advisors. They'll probably help you keep from a lot of headache if you just try and do things by yourself. They know what's up. Okay, so moving on to our next question. So what is there to do off campus, like in the city of Berkeley itself? Seneca, do you want to get that one?
Yeah, definitely. I think that there is just such a multitude of things to do off campus. So the campus of UC Berkeley is located kind of in between an urban environment and a more hilly slash hiking trailsy one. Good adjectives, excellent. And so it's really awesome because we have all of these different places that we can go. We're only about 30 minutes outside of San Francisco. So if you ever want to go visit the city or even go around the Bay Area, there are awesome public transportation systems like Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is called BART trains, or even taking the Alameda County buses, which are included in tuition. So lots of ways to get around. I think that my personal favorite things to do off campus are to just explore the city of Berkeley. We have a really cool rose garden that you can go walk to that has awesome views. There's also the UC Botanical Garden that is right behind our campus. So you can always go on hikes there. You can go hike up the hills behind campus, watch the sunset. But there's also this super vibrant city surrounding the campus. So we have this art museum called BAMFA, which stands for Bay Area Museum and Pacific Film Archive. Berkeley Art Museum, there we go. And they have a rotating exhibition of works from different up and coming artists that you can go see, and it's actually completely free for UC Berkeley students. So my friends and I love to go there and just look at some art. It's pretty fun. There's also a lot of really great thrift stores that you can go check out around the area and do a little window shopping if that's your thing. But honestly, I really cannot stress enough that I discover something new every time that I'm exploring the area around campus. And so you will never run out of things to do here. I've been here for almost 2 years now, and I honestly can say that it is just such a fun place to live and to be a student. There's a really cool community here, both on and off campus.
All right, yeah, I strongly agree with that. You know, being from San Francisco, there's a lot of just cool stuff to do all around the Bay Area, all kinds of museums, restaurants, everything. Okay, so moving on to our third question. So what are the different Cal housing options? Can you choose your roommate? Joseph, do you want to get that one?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So for Cal Housing, our on-campus housing is actually off campus, but just a few blocks away from main campus. It's a super short walk, don't worry. So on our south side of campus, we have units 1, 2, and 3, which are your typical high-rise dorm-style buildings. There's a floor with a communal restroom, and there's typically triples and doubles on each floor, but typically more triples, and along with a few suites in certain parts of a unit. But basically, for example, let's say unit 1, they're all designed the same. Unit 1, there's a big quad in the middle, and then with different buildings surrounding the quad. So yeah, that's basically your units 1, 2, and 3. I stayed in unit 2 and I loved it. Definitely what I recommend about the units is the communal atmosphere. Since you're all in one row, usually your floor would either have a washroom or a balcony and a study space. So what's really nice is that you always see people sometimes, whether they're washing clothes or out at the balcony or they're studying, and it's definitely a nice communal atmosphere. I always kept my door open, so I always waved to people. They'd always come in my room. It was a great space. Also on South Side, we have Blackwell Hall, which is actually the closest to campus. It's right across the street, one of the newest dorms that I believe opened in 2017. It's the same as our units. They have a little bit more features, such as a gym with more equipment to it. It is a little bit newer. Well, it is newer. It has more amenities. I actually did get to stay in there in Blackwell Hall this past semester, my sophomore year, and it was a really great experience. I loved it so much. Blackwell Hall does not offer triples though. They only do doubles and singles. And then the last on-campus housing on Southside is Clark Kerr. Clark Kerr is the farthest from campus, but being so far away, they have great amenities. Clark Kerr's rooms are a bit more spacious for a triple or a double or a single, and they do offer suites as well. And also Clark Kerr does have a pool close by its area. They have a track if you want to go run, and they also have beautiful hiking trails where you could go up it and hike the hills, and then you have a beautiful view of the Bay Area. So Clark Kerr definitely has its perks for being a little bit more off campus. And then on the northeast part of campus, closer towards our College of Engineering and Chemistry, we have Stern and Foothill. These are more suite style dorms. Basically by suite, it means you are sharing a room with 2 or 3 people or 4 people, and then you and another room share a bathroom. So it's kind of like this communal space you all share together, but it's still really nice and beautiful. It's more in the nature part of campus. So like if you open your window on certain parts of the building, you are directly seeing the Berkeley Hills and trees. Or if you, at night sometimes, it's right by our Greek theater, which hosts concerts sometimes. So you could definitely try to sneak peek like a free show, and which is really fun. We definitely have great performers who come. And then another thing about Stern, it's an all-woman identifying dorm, and they also offer certain programs such as women in STEM housing, which is really nice if you are in the STEM program and if you want to be in that same communal space. I highly recommend it. There's also other themed programs for Cal Housing. It's based on like certain identities or certain programs that you identify with. And then in terms of a roommate, you actually can request a roommate. I did this myself my freshman year. And the way the process goes is when you apply for Cal Housing, they give you a questionnaire. And in the questionnaire, it's like basically about you, what time you sleep, what type of like cleanliness level you like, different stuff like that. And basically you and your roommate or roommates put the same information. And then when you do apply for Cal Housing as well, there's also, you have options, you have 5 options, and you make sure you all put the same options together. And then your application is then attached. So when they are assigning rooms, y'all will hopefully be assigned to the same room.
All right, yeah. I myself actually roomed with 2 of my best friends from high school. Very fun experience. You know, you get to know a lot more about people when you live with them. And, you know, there's also a couple rough patches, obviously, but, you know, you work things out. So moving on to our 4th question. So what was it like coming in as an out-of-state student? Vincent, would you like to get that one?
I'd love to answer that one. So it actually all started once I received that email from UC Berkeley. The one actually when you open up that decision letter, whether or not you would get in or not, the screen popped up and lots of confetti fell down. So I was like, oh man, you know, I actually got into UC Berkeley. So UC Berkeley was actually one of my top schools that I applied to during senior year. And I was really happy, you know, lots of mixed feelings coming as out of state from Hawaii. Definitely, I thought it would be the same vibe because Hawaii kind of has a clear skies just as California do. And I was just really interested in what Cal could provide because before I actually thought of the college experience as many ones that are depicted in movies. So like, you know, there's a lot of parties, there's a lot of freedom going on. Freedom is definitely a big one. So if you're coming to college, be prepared to know that you're going to get a lot of freedom, but that also means that you need to have a lot of self-control. Know what you want really when you come to Cal and the things that really interest you. So always keep in mind of that when you're in many opportunities like this. So yeah, once I came to Cal, I discovered, I actually did a lot of my research back then, saying what clubs I wanted to join. I selected 3 clubs. So one was like the Pre-Medical Honor Society, a lot of health related clubs because I'm a pre-medical student right now. So I did my research before then, and that was something that I recommend that you guys can probably do, as it can make your process in transferring over easier. So once I got to campus, I realized that there's like tons of opportunities out there. And it's just for you to really decide whether or not you want to take them by the hand or just go with the flow. But during freshman year, definitely try out all the different opportunities that Cal offers, such as the clubs that you can join, the research opportunities with URAP. So that's our undergraduate research apprenticeship program and other volunteering activities. Try as many as you can because once you're in sophomore year, you're kind of stagnant and you kind of have a better understanding of what you want to do. Yeah, so freshman year definitely provides all the excitement there. And to add on to all the other panelists who said this before, when you are in housing, you're in your first year, or even, I know it's not only about a small portion of our students are currently in housing, but if you do go to housing or Golden Bear orientation, that's a great opportunity for you to take advantage of, because that's actually where your first relationships with your peers are going to be. And yeah, take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'd strongly agree with that. I met a lot of great people in my dorms when I was living there in my freshman year. So now moving on to our 5th question. So what was your freshman experience like? Do you have recommendations for the best places to study or hang out on campus? Beatrice, do you want to get that one?
Yeah, definitely. Coming right out of my freshman year, I can definitely answer this one. And honestly, building a lot on what Vincent just said and some of our other panelists said, freshman year is really a time for exploration. So right when you come to Berkeley, in a typical year, you'll be in a Golden Bear orientation group with about 50 other people, and they organize these groups based on who lives in your dorm. So it'll be people on all different floors of your dorm, and that's super nice because then you get to build connections with the people that you'll be seeing around your building. So I definitely recommend just like talking to everyone in your group, because it's just nice to have people to say hi to, even if you don't become best friends with all of them. And then just in terms of more exploring, like I was exploring with my classes in order to find a major, and then also just exploring the campus. One thing that was like a big adjustment coming to college is that your classes tend to be more like spaced out throughout the day, and like you're not going to be in class for 6 or 7 hours like you are in high school. So you have like sometimes these weird breaks during the day. And I think I learned a lot about time management using those like weird breaks to go explore different libraries and get work done so that I could, you know, participate in club meetings or whatever at night. So yeah, really just maximizing your time. And then in terms of favorite study spaces, so we have so many libraries on our campus. We have 24 official libraries, so lots of places, definitely an environment for everyone. I think my personal favorite was the music library, because that one's a little like quieter, and it was pretty close to my dorm in Unit 1, and lots of natural light and just like really nice views of campus.
All right, cool. There is another poll that just popped up on the screen. So just trying to see what everyone here is interested in studying once they get to Cal. Just to add on a little bit to Beatrice's answer. Yeah, definitely recommend the music library. It's a very nice scenic location, lots of glass, modern looking. There's also like Memorial Glade is a good place to hang out. It's just a nice central place on campus. Very green, lots of grass. Yeah. Okay, so looking at the poll, it looks like there's a lot of people that want to study engineering and a lot of biological and social and physical sciences majors. Very wide array, including a lot of business people as well. All right, cool. So moving on to our next question. So what campus events does UC Berkeley typically put on? Joseph, do you want to get that?
Yeah, sure. I love talking about events. So basically throughout the year, a lot of it happens in the beginning. We have events, like there's one called Calapalooza, which essentially is to showcase all of our clubs and organizations that we have here on campus. Sproul Hall, which is usually, which is like the hub of our student activity, is full of clubs and orgs. It's kind of hard to walk past because there's so many people. They're flyering you, telling you to come to their table. So there's one big event campus puts on to try to get you more welcomed into the community and just trying to help you find your place here at Cal. There's also career fairs. Lots of the times throughout the year, you'll see stuff such as career fairs. And what's really nice is that we are in the Bay Area. So campus has lots of campus partners they bring in who come and talk to our students about all their different opportunities around the Bay Area. We're really close to the hub of technology in Silicon Valley, only like not that far away from us. So it's just really nice to have a resource, and campus does really go all out to make sure our students hear about all these resources. And then some other fun campus activities. Since our campus is we're on the older side, 150 years, 152, we have lots of traditions and events that go with it. For example, I'm in the rally committee, and one big week here on campus is our big game week, and that is when we play our rivals, Stanford, down in the Bay Area. We're not going to talk about them. But during that whole week, there's so many activities, so many rallies. We have a cable car rally in San Francisco. We have a tree chopping rally where we chop down some trees while Cal band, cheer, and dance are performing. We have there's night rallies throughout the whole year where basically the rally committee and all the spirit groups go around all the campus dorms and certain hotspots around Berkeley and perform. There's noon rallies before every Friday football, the Friday before every game, where we just go out and try to encourage some school spirit. We have a homecoming rally. There's also a big game bonfire rally, which is really unique because I'm not exactly sure many schools still do a bonfire. And this past year, we actually renovated our bonfire per se, and we got rid of a wood structure and went to a sustainable structure, say, could last for many more years to come, because we want to keep that tradition alive. We definitely love traditions here, and it's really nice that UC Berkeley puts on these events. As Beatrice said, a lot of the times your schedule is like spread out throughout the day. So you could be walking down Sproul in between classes and see that resource fair or see the tables on Sproul. So it's just really nice because there's always something to do and always events happening.
Yeah, I strongly agree with that. You know, you can't really go like any day without just seeing someone doing something fun or just announcing their new fair or whatever club hangout it is. So moving on to the next question. So let's talk a little bit about internships. So first off, where can internships be obtained? Are they competitive since there's so many students at UC Berkeley? So yeah, Vincent, would you like to grab that one?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. Everyone's always wondering about internships and building their resumes. So like, where exactly do you do that? One resource that I really recommend is the Career Center, and that is actually right by Eshelman Hall. The Career Center is actually for many supporting like your professional development, host many workshops, and it can also connect you with many employers. So with that, you're able to attend, there's a fair called Turn the Tables Fair where many employers kind of feature their own company, and et cetera, and it's across disciplines, many different fields. You're able to submit your resume there. They will do a virtual event this time. I believe it will be in September. So if you are able to do that, then you can check it out. Otherwise, you can also check out Handshake. So Handshake is a job kind of recruiting website that links you between the employers and the people that you want to apply to, recruiters as well. So that's another great resource if you want to check it out. And then a big one is also LinkedIn. So if you don't have a LinkedIn account, definitely create one. It's really helpful in helping you to find people you want to connect with in the same fields and different. So yeah, just get as many connections as possible, and that will really help you out in the long run.
All right, yeah, strongly agree with everything there. It's really important to get some of those job skills out there. So once you graduate, you're prepared to step out in there. All right, so next question. So what opportunities are there available for undergraduate research? Seneca, would you like to grab that question?
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, there are so many opportunities for research here. We are a public research university, and so we do a ton of different research in all different disciplines, from science to history to economics to computer science and business, all sorts of things. So there's tons of opportunities to get involved. I think definitely the most common and the most publicized is called URAP, which stands for the Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program, which Vince mentioned earlier. And that's basically a mentor program where you get paired with a faculty member for a semester and you work on a specific project with them. And then sometimes they'll go a full year or more. It really just depends on the project. And so the application for that can be found at urap.berkeley.edu. And you basically you can apply to up to 3 projects every semester. And then there's usually an interview and different processes for actually getting to having the research position. But that's a super fun one. That is open to all different disciplines, and the project descriptors are listed on the website. So it's always fun to just go on there and check out what people are researching. But then there's also a lot of department-specific research opportunities. So for example, the Rausser College of Natural Resources has a completely different program, kind of like URAP, but it's more targeted for those environmentally focused programs, and that's a super popular one for students in Rausser College. There's also just cold emailing, which, okay, not gonna lie, terrified me, like still does, but it's basically where you just email a professor or an instructor, graduate student, without really knowing them before, and you're just like, hi, I'm Seneca, or well, your name, and then, you know, I'm interested in da-da-da, and I noticed that you do this, and we should meet, you know. So that's a really great option because that shows that you've got the initiative to reach out to them and that you're passionate about what they're researching, and yeah, so I definitely know a lot of different people for whom that's worked, and that's actually how I got my research position. But then also, if you've got a professor in class, you can just go up to them and start talking to them, go to their office hours, show them that you're engaged, and that potentially could get your research position as well. And then if you also want to get involved in more social sciences research, we have this super cool thing on campus called the X Lab, which is the Experimental Social Sciences Lab. It's based out of Haas Business School, and you can either participate in the research experiments as a subject, which I do a lot because you get Amazon gift cards, sometimes you get money, or you can actually join their team and become one of the researchers doing those projects. So it's super fun. It's a super great way to learn more about the different social science research that's going on, and I highly recommend just, getting out there. Go to research.berkeley.edu, check out all the different options, and yeah, I honestly could talk about research for hours, so do it. It's fun. It can take a while to find a project, but if you really make it a priority, you will find something, I promise.
Yeah, speaking on the topic of social sciences research, actually, I know there's this place on campus called the Bancroft Library, one of our libraries. They have very good resources, primary sources, like stuff dating back like centuries. You can find all kinds of primary source documents that you could use for your research, for example. Or if you're looking for research in STEM areas, for example, we have the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory right next to campus, for example. One of my roommates, actually, he managed to get a research position in a lab looking into the applications for algae and photosynthesis. I don't really know what exactly they're trying to study there, but I'm sure there's some cool stuff you can do with like energy and all of that. So yeah, next question. So we'll be asking about, generally, you'll meet a lot of different professors, staff, GSI all around campus. So generally, how approachable are they, considering how large these classes are at Berkeley? So Beatrice, would you like to grab that question?
Yeah, definitely. So in my experience, all the professors that I've talked to have been extremely approachable. We say it all the time, go to office hours. You'll keep hearing it, and it's still really scary. So office hours are a time every single week that professors set aside simply to talk to students about the coursework or about their academic career or just kind of life in general. And they'll either just have drop-ins or you'll like sign up online with a link. And so even though like all these older students tell you to go to office hours, your professors tell you to come to office hours, it's still a little bit scary to like go in there and start that conversation. In my experience, like a lot of professors do expect you to come in with a question, and like I went to talk to my introductory sociology professor and she didn't speak to me until I asked her a question. And then as I kept asking her questions, she opened up a little bit more and we actually had a really great conversation. But it really just takes that first step of going to office hours. And even though you're in these really large classes, you'll be surprised at how empty a lot of professors' office hours are. So they're really eager to meet students, and they do a really good job of like remembering your name if you go into their office hours. And then just in terms of approachability, so this is a more unique situation, but in my fall semester, I also took an introductory geography course with this professor named Seth Lunine. I highly recommend him. I love the course. I would go to his office hours to talk about this big project that we did. And then one day I was up on the fire trails behind campus with some of my friends, and we were like taking a selfie with the view, and this man walked up to me and he said, "Hey, do you want me to take that for you?" Turns out it was my professor, so I saw him there. And then I'm also a pretty local student, so over winter break, I was in the grocery store with my mom, and this man came up to me and he was like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I saw him there and introduced him to my mom. So he's extremely approachable, but I think that just is a good example of how approachable Berkeley professors are.
Yeah, on that point about how empty office hours was, I was in my first semester in a class with 2,000 people. This was one of my CS classes, and I went into office hours one day and it's completely empty. It was just the professor in there. So yeah, definitely make sure to make use of that resource if you get the chance. Okay, so next question. So what is the typical class size in first year courses? Is it easy to get help from professors? Vince, do you want to go ahead and grab that one?
Yeah, so the typical class size definitely varies depending on the type of classes that you take, the prerequisites, and your major. So in many cases, our typical class size from instructor to student ratio is 18:1. And that is really dependent on mainly upper division classes. So actually in your lower divisions, such as mine in molecular cell biology, we actually have around 400 to 500 students taking one class. And that's the reason is because many majors require the prerequisites that are needed. And so all of the students need to take those classes in order to get to their upper division. And so that is why you would see so many individuals taking those courses. Another example includes like computer science. So computer science is one of our popular majors out there. And because of that, you could see a lot of people taking CS 61A or 61B. And as a result of that, a lot of professors would also webcast their lectures. So you wouldn't need to actually go into the lecture hall. You could just watch it online on your own time, which is very flexible. And I definitely recommend you to take advantage of that. Otherwise, yeah, if you want to get close to professors and everything, just like Beatrice said, definitely go to their office hours. I know there's some professors out there, like no one goes to their office hours. So basically, if you go, you have like a one-on-one tutor session with them, and that's like that's amazing, you know, with a professor. So for me, I actually don't visit my professor office hours often. I probably only visited twice my entire 2 years at UC Berkeley. And the reason why is because I bombard my GSI with questions. So whenever I have a question, I always feel more comfortable in reaching out to my GSI because he's like the main point of contact. So yeah, what I just do is email him any question I have, and yeah, you can do the same. You can just tire your GSI out, and you know you can also make connections with a professor because sometimes if you talk to them a lot, they have a really good image of you, and some of them can write recommendations for you later on in graduate school. So that's definitely beneficial.
All right, yeah. Again, strongly agree with everything Vince just went into there. Very important things to keep in mind once you get to college. So, next question. So let's talk a little bit about how housing is after your freshman year. So first off, do most students move out of the dorms after freshman year? And if so, what is the experience like moving off of campus? Seneca, would you like to grab that one?
Yeah, so this is a huge question. I was super curious about this when I was an incoming freshman as well. And I think that there are a ton of different awesome options for living off campus after your first year. Most students do live off campus after the first year. So about 96% of our freshmen live on campus. And then after that, usually people will move into off-campus apartments, or they'll continue living in campus housing, but they'll move into an apartment style rather than a dorm style accommodation. And so that allows a little bit more freedom. You have your own kitchen, but people also will move into those off-campus apartments. That's where I'm living next semester. If you're in Greek life, living in your sorority or fraternity is super popular because it is quite decently priced and you get some great food as well. So that's where I lived last year, and I highly, highly recommend if that is something that you're interested in. But if not, absolutely no worries. We also have this awesome system called Cooperative Housing, also known as the co-op system. And this is a super, super cool thing. I think Berkeley has the largest co-op system in the US. And so there's all different houses and apartments, and each of them kind of has their own vibe, their own little traditions. It's super cool. And they're located all throughout Berkeley. And basically what it is a house where a bunch of students live, and then you have meals provided as well as a work shift during the week. And so you will have maybe your work shift is to, clean up the garden outside, or it might change. And so in that way, you live in this house that is kept really clean. You get some amazing, delicious food prepared by your housemates, and you really get a sense of community from living with these people and maintaining a house with them. And so that is a super cool way to live off campus. In addition, it does have reduced rent because you are working for, I believe the commitment is 5 hours a week during the school year. So it is a little bit reduced because of that, but it is a great option. Everyone that I've talked to that's lived in the co-ops has loved it and highly recommends it. And then there's also different options like International House, which is located 1 block off our campus. It's very close, and that is a great place to live as well. There's honestly so many options, it's hard to go into, but what I would recommend is talk to your RA, which is a resident assistant. So when you're in the dorms, that is a person that will live in your building, maybe on your floor, maybe the floor below you. And you can ask them, hey, like, what do you recommend for finding off-campus housing for next year? Or just ask people that you know who are in the grades above you, and really just get a sense of what's out there. Another tip that I would recommend for finding off-campus housing is to join the Facebook pages. So there's one called UC Berkeley Off-Campus Housing, and that one is great because everyone on there is a Berkeley student, and people will post like sublets, people will post open apartments. It's a great way to find that. And the experience I have had has been super positive living off campus and on campus. Honestly, can't go wrong. Berkeley's a pretty fun place either way. But I've really enjoyed the freedom as well as the ability to cook and to live with my friends. So yeah, definitely a good time.
All right, so you should have just seen the third poll pop up on your screen there. So it looks like a lot of SoCal people, actually, a lot of people from Southern California. So welcome. I hope it isn't too hot down there right now. I hear it's like in the 90s or something. So just add a little bit onto Seneca's answer. iHouse, International House. I hear their dining hall is very good and it is open to the public. So as long as you pay a fee to go in, I hear food's pretty great. So if you get the chance to check that out, definitely do. Okay, so yeah, it looks like a lot of people are from Southern California. We also have a decent amount of people on the East Coast and in the Central Time Zone. A couple NorCal people, all right. Cool. So for our next question, we'll be moving on to a little more about the theater and screenwriting program. So how efficient is the theater and screenwriting program at Cal? Joseph, would you like to grab that one?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to talk about it. So at Cal, it's our department is called TDPS, which means Theater, Dance, and Performance Studies. We love acronyms here. If you ever have a chance to come to campus, you'll hear lots of us talking in acronyms. But yeah, so our department specifically, what's really nice is that for the major itself, they really want you to get a well-rounded education in theater. So you basically will talk about theater history, theater culture. It's a lot of like theory-based courses. Like for example, one theme that I definitely have seen a lot is what is performance? What does performance mean? How are we performing in our everyday lives? So yeah, it's definitely a really well-rounded major. For example, in terms of efficiency, the way it works out is kind of you take courses in acting, you take them in set design, costume, lighting design, theory, history, and then if you want an emphasis, let's say if you want to do an emphasis in acting or an emphasis in design, you then audition for the more upper div courses, and that allows you to get more experience. But other than that, there is, for example, screenwriting courses. There is 2 courses that are a series, and you do audition to get in. Basically, you send in a sample script to the professor, and then he, with an application attached, and then he'll reach out to you with an acceptance, or else he'll just encourage you to apply again because he really wants to take everyone, which is really nice. But the department and professors themselves are super, super helpful. They're super talented themselves. For example, our major advisor actually teaches a theater course, and he's super great and fun. He's really helpful. And just for an example on how well-rounded our staff is, during an intro level acting course, basically on the first day of school, our professor was like introducing herself, and then she said, yeah, you can find me on Netflix or Google. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm definitely going to do that after this course. So definitely our professors work around the Bay Area themselves. They do local community theaters. Some have done global theaters. They have connections to so many people around the US and the world. So it's a really great, efficient program. And I love my small home in TDPS. It made my experience here at Berkeley even better.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing about a performance of Romeo and Juliet somewhere on campus, like in one of the fountains next to Memorial Glade. I think I remember hearing about that. Yeah, lots of great performances are always being held around campus. We have a place called Zellerbach Theater. I think it seats like about 2,000 people. Yeah, great performances there. Definitely recommend checking those out if you have the time. So, next question. As we all know, Berkeley can be a little bit busy, especially when it comes around to midterm or final season. So how difficult is it to balance the amount of work and education at Cal? Vince, would you like to grab that one?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, so definitely the academics at Cal is challenging, as you guys all know. So the first thing that I recommend all of you should do is that you should understand yourself, your capabilities, your skills, are you able to handle as many things as you want, or like how many things can you actually handle? So I think the first point is understanding yourself well, and being able to tackle the things that are in front of you. So kind of like reflect yourself based on high school. If in high school you did 3 clubs, let's say, and you can also kind of experiment at Cal and see if you can do 3 clubs and kind of like start from there. You're trying to not to overwhelm yourself, because if you do, you kind of burn out a bit too early, and your academics would then suffer because of that. So academics at Cal is definitely challenging, and so you definitely need to have coping mechanisms behind your back, and these can just include just a nap time, or like a hike with your friends, some relaxing downtime, just watching TV shows or doing something that you like to do. So the most important thing is to be able to know your stressors, also the things that can overcome those stressors. So yeah, that's the tips that I recommend for that. And also, since I was actually a president of many clubs in my high school, I knew that I had the ability to take on more in my college. And so I wanted to really just test myself, because college is actually the time where you can really push yourself to your limit. Know that you're more capable than you actually know. And yeah, just challenge your limit definitely at Cal.
All right, yeah. I would also like to say that, don't procrastinate. Very important. Everyone says that and then they end up procrastinating anyways. But yeah, especially since I know a lot of you are high school seniors, make sure not to let that senioritis get to you once you get to Cal itself. Okay, so next question. Are there student services for undergraduates on campus? If so, how many, do many students use it? Excuse me. So Beatrice, would you like to get this question, please?
Yeah, so we have so many student services on our campus for undergraduate students. At Berkeley, we really emphasize community and diversity, and that means making sure that every student has a way to succeed. So one of the most commonly used student services, I think, is our Student Learning Center. And the Student Learning Center offers completely free tutoring, study groups. They have writing coaches who I talked to when I was submitting my first college essay. And I know so many students have had really positive experiences with the Student Learning Center, and they moved their services online. So that's super cool. You can still use all of it right now. We also have our Disabled Student Center, which I've heard does really great work ensuring that disabled students are able to do well. And then we have many different student development offices. We have our Multicultural Community Center, and then student development offices for African American, Asian Pacific Islander, Native American, like students of every background. And these offices are really there. They provide mentorship, they provide community events, really just making sure that every student feels like they have a home at Berkeley, because having that like home base and that sense of community really enables students to succeed in their academics and their social life. So I think Berkeley does a really great job of providing all these services. And I do think like a good amount of students take part in them.
Yeah, I highly agree. If you had the chance to go and check out some of these services available to you, your tuition's going into it, so might as well, right? Okay, so for our final question, so how did you guys know that Cal was the right place for you? What exactly is your sort of Berkeley story in a way? Seneca, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that this is just such a good question. For me, I honestly did not really grow up with a super deep understanding of Berkeley. I thought that Cal was like a professional baseball team for a bit. Quickly realized that that is not the case. But so once I was kind of deciding towards the end of the college admissions process between a few different schools, I was really torn, and all three of them, or all of the ones that I was considering, were extremely like awesome. I thought that they were all places I could see myself, and the academics at all were very much what I was looking for. So I was definitely very torn, and I went and I visited those three campuses and made a pro con list and ended up very stymied because I just really am a very indecisive person, and so it was really difficult for me to narrow it down. But I decided on the just like off chance that it would help to join the incoming Facebook pages for each of the campuses and then look through. Usually these pages are places where people will post little profiles of themselves, and so that's a place where you could find a roommate or just get to know people who are going to be in your graduating class. And so I was looking through the Berkeley incoming class of 2022 page, and I just remember being blown away by the amount of passion and just so many different interests and different backgrounds, and just the overwhelming drive and energy that these people had. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to meet them. I want to be friends with them. I can totally see myself being here and growing with these people, learning from these people. And ultimately, I really chose Berkeley because of the people. The people here are absolutely incomparable, as I think all of us can attest. I really think that when you're choosing the college that you want to go to or choosing your path, it's important to consider where you want to be in X number of years, or just in the future in general. Like, who do you want to be? And how will you get there? And I think that for me, Berkeley was definitely the perfect choice because I was like, these people will, I can learn from them, I will grow with them, and ultimately I will end up the person that I want to be because of Berkeley and because of these amazing fellow students. So that is definitely how I decided, and honestly, have not regretted it. Go Bears. Great time.
Yeah, I'll go next. So basically, when I was a senior in high school, I actually came into Berkeley as an architecture major, and the reason I chose Cal was because it was like one of the only UCs to offer architecture as a major. But when I was looking, I was not exactly sure about the campus itself. I actually had a friend who comes to Berkeley, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll follow her, and like she'll help me out, and like she'll guide me because I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with my life. But you know what? Sure, I'll apply to Berkeley. And then it wasn't until Cal Day, which is our open house, where like I stepped on campus and I immediately felt what our campus was or what the campus culture was. Just talking to the current students at the time, seeing their passion and their drive, and like just hearing how they wanted to be change makers. They wanted to take their field and their expertise and go out into the world, whether it be with in an environmental way or a political way. They just really wanted to change, to be these change makers, as I kept saying. And I felt so inspired to hear that because it personally drives me to do my best and to work hard. Just to see how passionate everyone was about their studies, it definitely made me even feel more passionate, and and made my drive to succeed even stronger. I definitely love the campus. It's a nice mix of urban and environment with our Strawberry Creek that goes straight through campus. It's definitely peaceful if you ever want to, like if you're in the city of Berkeley, but you kind of want to escape from that, you could go down to the creek and just close your eyes and look up at the trees, at the beautiful trees, and hear the creek run by. It's a nice mix of that. Definitely, it's a great collaborative atmosphere. That's one of like, people ask that all the time, like, are you all more competitive or more collaborative? But definitely from my experience here, it's been a collaborative effort. Everyone works together because everyone wants to succeed. And a lot of the times everyone just reaches out for help with all these resources. Everyone works together to create this team effort. That's amazing and awesome. And the friendships you make, I've definitely could call Berkeley my home because of all the friendships from all the organizations I made. I made one super close friend from Cal Day 2 years ago, and we're even closer than ever. I definitely, when you step on campus, you'll feel that Berkeley vibe, I guess you could say. A fun fact was like on the first day of my freshman year, if y'all seen Frozen song for the first time in forever, when she's like, when Anna is singing it, I played that song in my headphones on the way to my first class. Because I'm like, it's a new adventure, a new journey, and you definitely fall in love with campus every time you come back.
Yeah, I can go next, just kind of echoing what Seneca said. Despite growing up next to Berkeley's campus and having two Berkeley alumna as parents, I really did not understand what Berkeley was about. To me, it was just like a place where I would go on field trips. I would go see basketball games or like hang out with friends on campus and get boba, but I never really understood what the school had to offer. And I never really realized that it was like, you know, this #1 public university right next to my house. So I never really considered applying until I was about to submit my UC application. And I just decided to check the extra box, send my application to Berkeley. But even when I got in, I told my mom I didn't want to go just because it was too close to home and I thought that college had to be a really far away experience. But she convinced me to take a campus tour. And when I took a campus tour, I realized that Berkeley kind of had everything I was looking for in a school. It just happened to be right next to my house. So it had this amazing campus that's in an urban environment, but you have this access to all the nature that we've been talking about. And then also coming in undeclared, I knew that I wanted to go to a school where no matter what I studied, I would be working with professors at the top of their field. And I knew that Berkeley would definitely offer that, as well as the flexibility to explore lots of different classes before deciding on a major. And lastly, I wanted that school spirit. I wanted those rallies, the game day experience. And so Berkeley had everything I was looking for, which is why I committed. And then also to echo Seneca and Joseph's stories, the reason that I stayed at Berkeley is the people that I've met. Being surrounded by such passionate and driven people really makes Berkeley feel like an entirely different world than the one that I grew up in. So that's why I've stayed. Yeah.
You guys have all great Berkeley stories. Wow. So for me, actually, back in 8th grade, I knew that I wanted to be a doctor. And so that I actually changed my path to optometry. And I discovered that Berkeley was like one of the top optometry schools in the world. And that actually made my decision to apply to Berkeley in undergrad because, you know, I thought that if I go to Berkeley in undergrad, they'd be more lenient on me when I applied to graduate school. That was my thinking. So that is why I chose Berkeley. But once I came to Berkeley, I realized that, you know, everyone here is really driven. They know what they really want, and that's really rare of students out here. And they are willing to work to their hardest extent in order to achieve what they want. So that's really admirable. And one of the things that I really relate to here at Berkeley. I've also realized that many of the pre-meds that I compete with, because as you know, the pre-med culture is really, I take you down or you take me down. But, you know, here at Berkeley, we're actually really friendly. You know, a lot of people help me and I help them. We're really collaborative in this atmosphere. So definitely making connections here is a strong strong thing to have. Yeah.
All right, so thank you all for sharing your Berkeley stories. Just one last thing before we go, I'd like to just pull up a couple ways that you can go ahead and contact us if you haven't had all your questions answered already, or if you have any new questions that just popped into your head. So make sure that you follow us on social media at Visit UC Berkeley. If you have any more questions, then send an email over to tour@berkeley.edu and a student ambassador will get back to you and answer your question. In addition, if you have any more interest in learning more about different student perspectives, then go ahead and check out our Bear Talk blog at beartalk.berkeley.edu. In addition, if you wanted to learn more about our student panels, then a different recorded panel is available on our YouTube channel at Visit UC Berkeley. In addition, we are celebrating 150 years of women at UC Berkeley, so go ahead and check that out at 150w.berkeley.edu. In addition, as I said at the beginning of our tour today, make sure to check out our Chancellor's message about staying together at news.berkeley.edu. If you're interested in seeing how Berkeley is responding to COVID-19, then go ahead and check out coronavirus.berkeley.edu. Finally, if you are interested in learning more about the campus and its general different features, then make sure to register for a virtual campus visit at visit.berkeley.edu. So with that, I'd like to end with a quick Go Bears with the other ambassadors on 1, 2, and 3. Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
And thank you for joining us today. Have a good day, everyone.